Iansan is the brand new Electro 4-star coming to Genshin Impact for version 5.5. She has been touted as a Bennett upgrade and is considered by many to be a meta staple going forward. However, there are still some huge question marks around this character. She will require significant investment into her constellations to be an upgrade for most of the units in the game. So in this video, we're going to give you her pre-farming and build guide in case you plan on getting Iansan, talk about which teams she should be an upgrade for, as well as which teams are still question marks, and we'll have to wait for my full extensive testing of her on release. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Remember that pre-release info is amazing and very, very helpful, but it is not everything. So if you enjoy my rigorous testing that I do with each new release, make sure you subscribe to see me test Iansan with every character that makes sense to test her with. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, so every subscribe really helps a lot. Before we go any further, I know people are talking up this character, and they are going to be really good. At C6, they are likely to be best in slot for a number of very good teams. However, the jury is still out on whether they will actually, for example, replace Xiaolonin in Moika teams, especially if Iansan is not C6, and maybe you have Xiaolonin's weapon, and maybe that makes Xiaolonin the same or better than Iansan. We'll have to see and actually test it out in game, and I will be doing full extensive testing on Iansan when she gets released, so definitely look forward to that. But most of these comparisons that you're seeing are having Iansan at C6. If Iansan is at a lower constellation, constellation 0 or 1 or even 2, she may not be the crazy upgrade we think she's being. So just be very careful about wishing for a 4-star, thinking that they're going to be an upgrade. They're going to be a great free-to-play option if you end up getting Iansan because you're wishing on Veresa or Shanyun's banner, but I do not recommend going for Iansan and her constellations if you do not want the 5-star. This is just very poor planning and highly not recommended. You can easily end up with a C2 or even C3 5-star from 0 copies before you get a C6 4-star. I think it's great to lean into Iansan cons on Veresa or Shanyun's banner, as Iansan is undoubtedly best in slot for Veresa and Shanyun, but for other characters, it is much less clear, and even if she is best in slot, is that worth the potentially hundreds and hundreds of wishes it's going to take to get C6 Iansan? I don't think so, but I will test it and we will find out. This right here is how I plan on pre-farming for my Iansan and my investment level, at least based on my prediction. These are the materials that you'll want to focus on. We've got one of Arlecchino's boss materials, the Blazing Sun, whatever talent materials, obviously Electro Gems. I will be fully ascending her, potentially level 90ing her, but I'm not sure. Depends on if I need the extra attack. The boss from the Shifting Papilla, whatever, that for the boss drop. I'm feeling she'll use new flowers, new local specialties that are not currently available that will be in the new area. And she uses the whistles from the Natlin guys. So that is what you'll want to do to pre-farming for her if you plan on wishing on these banners. A super quick kit explanation for Iansan. She has a lot of mechanics, but basically what she's doing is she's buffing the attack of your active character. Based on her attack, you'll need a character that is mobile and moving around. And the more they move around, the more attack buff Iansan gives. Moving around could be something like Moika's bike, Floran's dash, just moving around like on Chaska. Plunging like on Xiao or Veresa, those would all be considered movement. I do believe walking around as Ganyu should count, but all of this will be confirmed on release. In addition to buffing attack, of course, Iansan will buff using the Scroll of the Hero Cinder City, and if you have Iansan's constellations, especially the C6, she will buff damage percent. Nice. For talent priority, it will be burst and then skill. I plan on crowning Iansan's burst and just leaving the skill at something like level 7. The damage is basically negligible, and I want to max out the buff. So to keep in line with other characters like Bennett, I want to give her the max buff possible. It may or may not be worth it to level 90 or 89, depending. Probably it will be because level 90 will increase her base attack. Of course, if you can max out the buff without going to 90, then great, save some resources, but increasing the base attack will increase all the attack buffs. So power resonance, attack percent stats, attack percent substats. You'll want to mainly look for attack percent and energy recharge on your pieces. Let's talk about her artifact options. She functions fairly similar to Ron in that she'll want to use the scroll of the Hero Cindy artifact set. Rather than be built on attack, damage, crit, you'll want to do attack, attack, attack. You'll basically never consider another artifact option because not only does this set have amazing buffing, it gives Iansan a lot of energy, which she really needs to burst every rotation, as that's an important part of her buff. Favonius Lance will be her go-to, and if you don't have enough Favonius Lance, or if you don't need the particles that Favonius Lance gives, you can go for this weapon, the Tamayurati no Ohanashi. And again, if you don't need the ER, you can also go for a Jade Wing Spear, or Engulfing Lightning, or Calamity Queller, or Skyward Spine, or something else that has a high base attack. Finally, time to bust out your Wavebreaker's Fin. If you go for one of these weapons, you'll need to build more energy recharge on your Iansan. And if you go for Fav, you'll need to build more attack substats to max out her buff. So you just kind of pick what's more valuable for your team and go with that. You'll basically never want to switch off of Hero of Cinder City, as I already said, but I just want to double down. Even if you're using her on like a Moika team, where you also have Citlali who wants to be on the scroll set, Iansan will need to stay on the scroll set pretty much regardless. To max out Iansan's buff, if you're at C4 or below, you'll need 2,500, 555 attack, 2,555 attack, and if you're at Constellation 5 or higher, then you'll need 3,000 attack. All right, now for the good stuff. Who will I be testing Iansan with? Who will she be an upgraded for? I'm not going to write things like will be best in slot, will be upgrade. I know a lot of people like to claim upgrade before the character comes out, but as we've seen, lots of stuff can happen. Lots of things can be different on release, either better or worse. So I'm really going to take everything with a grain of salt, especially a character that's as hyped up as Iansan, and a character that is as dangerous as Iansan. There is no guarantee that you will ever get a copy of this character. So I want to be very careful recommending them or talking about how good they're going to be. So that being said, people have wanted a Bennett upgrade / sideways grade for a very long time who's not attached to Circle Impact. So I'm very, very excited to hopefully have that character. So I can be excited, but also measured. So that's what we're going to do. I'm very excited to test Moika. I've heard conflicting things. I've heard Iansan is going to be an upgrade. Over Xilonen, I've heard not. I've heard maybe at C6. I've heard maybe not even at C6, especially if Xilonen is R1. All from people that I would consider trustworthy. So it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens. I love it when things are unknown. Very exciting. I'm obviously very excited for Clorand. You guys know I love Clorand. Some people think that Clorand will receive the C6 buff. Some people think that she won't. Some people think that she moves enough by playing her normally. Some people think that she won't. I'm really excited for it. By the way, I will be testing at Iansan. I've decided to test her at C0 and at C2 and at C4 and at C6, at least on certain teams. Maybe not every single team. Maybe I'll test her at all of those constellations, maybe with like these two characters or like with and Varesa. And then maybe I'll test, I don't know. We'll see where she feels good. And then at that point, I'll test her on all the characters, and then we'll get a baseline. We'll see. It's TBD. Chaska, I'm interested. I still think the Moika should be the best for Chaska stuff. I don't expect Iansan to be best in slot, but I'm still interested. Keqing, I'm excited. I'm excited not to play the same Circle Impact. Keqing does keep Bennett's buff, even as he goes out of Bennett's buff, so it's not like you need to stay in Bennett's Circle for Keqing, but it will still be nice to have Iansan, and since Iansan doesn't have Electro app, it won't interfere with Keqing's burning, so I'm excited for Keqing. I'm interested for Xiao. Obviously, you're not replacing Farzan, you're not replacing Shen or Farina on his premium team, but if you don't have one of the pieces, then I'm interested. Especially if you're, for example, like if you're going to be wishing for Shen for your Xiao and you end up with a bunch of copies of Iansan, I'm interested to see how that plays out. I don't think I'll be testing Iansan and Sethos. Sethos really wants EM stuff, so nah. Arlecchino, I'm interested. Not having Circle Impact, but still having an attack buffer should be nice. Maybe you can use both. We'll see. I'm interested in Gaming. I feel like Navia really enjoys Bennett Moika and the Power Resonance and stuff, but maybe you could do Moika Shangling Iansan, but then you want Bennett for the Pyro Battery. I don't know. I'll test it. I'm not super interested or excited, but I'll test it. I don't think Risley really wants this, but I will test it. I will test Linny. Iansan should work with Alhaitham. I'm interested. Or maybe some spread Alhaitham stuff. I don't know how good it will be, but Iansan can buff both Alhaitham and Yai. So you could do Nahida, Alhaitham, Iansan, Yai. I didn't mention this, but Iansan does have a very, very teeny bit of healing. Apparently it's not enough to be any good, but what if we maybe we can be godlike and run no healer and learn Iansan healer Alhaitham. I don't know. I'm interested. Oh, right. I always do this. Every single time a new Natlan support comes out, I put Shao or Wanderer up as like, oh, maybe they'll work. And then I remember that they can't activate Cinder City with Animo. We need an Animo support to activate Cinder City. Yikes. I'm going to put Sino in Na. He's an EM scaler, so he doesn't really want it. My May test Tainari, I don't know. It's like, well, I might get there. I'll test Ayato, but he probably wants to keep Bennett's Shangling, so I don't even, like, I'll say I'll test it. I don't even know. Iansan should be an upgrade for Raiden, so I am excited for Raiden. My Raiden is C2. Giga buffing Raiden should be good. Obviously, you can use Sara, but Iansan's cooldowns actually line up nicer, so I'm excited. I'm interested for yoimiya. I'll test it with Klee. I'm sad about Eula because as good as not having off-field Electro is good for Kanich, it's not good for Eula. So unfortunately, Eula still wants Bennett. Yikes. And my Bennett C6, so yikes. We won't be testing Ayaka. I mean, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we'll test Hu Tao as she is HP scaler. She does work with Bennett, but you kind of already want Shilonen for the healing for Freena. So I think Shilonen's just so much better that I don't think I'll bother. And then Ganyu, I don't know. Maybe I'll test it. So I think it's mostly these characters. And then of course, Varisa will work perfectly with her and will be best in slot. Basically what I'm most interested in is what constellation will Iansan be an upgrade for certain characters, and if Iansan isn't an upgrade, how strong will she be? So I expect her at C6 to be an upgrade for a bunch of these characters, but for some I'm a little bit more skeptical on. There's a potential that Iansan will cause Cloran to overcap on attack, so then your attack substats are useless, and then she won't be as much of an upgrade over Ororon. There's a rumor we might be getting a free Ororon at some point. Obviously, I'm very excited for Iansan. Obviously, she's going to be extremely powerful. But given that she is a 4-star, there is no guarantee you're getting copies of her. What if it's only a small upgrade? Are you willing to get a C2 Varisa, a C2 Shenyan, just for a marginal upgrade for one of your characters? So I think it's very, very important to not just go crazy and wish for a bunch of copies for Iansan before we actually test her and make sure she is. You can easily spend hundreds of wishes on Iansan, so wait for my video before making your decision. Let me know who you want to see me test her with down below. Subscribe while you're down there. And if you don't want to do any of that, that is totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.